record. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate this because I absolutely love this conversation and I absolutely love what I do. So, all right, we all have that inner voice in the back of our heads going through our minds. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so great, especially when something bad happens. We get into a fight with a friend, a significant other. We disappoint a boss or a customer. And then before we know it, our brains start taking over and they start saying things to us like, you don't know enough. You're not smart enough. You don't know enough. You're not pretty enough. They're going to leave you. How many of you can relate to that voice? Right? So I call that voice the itty bitty shitty committee. So if you can relate to that voice, you can definitely put it in the chat. And I know the itty bitty shitty committee is a funny name, but the thing is, it is something that has been designed to tell us negative and thoughts that are not true. Okay. They're saying negative things to us and it's not even the truth. Like, come on. You don't know enough, really? You know a lot of things. You're not pretty enough. You're gorgeous, right? We have to stop beating ourselves up. All that itty bitty shitty committee does is a stupid voice in our head that's not the truth. Like, you're never going to do that. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to start your own business. So my name is Bridget Sobis, and I've been a business owner for over 15 years. And when I owned my salon, it was an award-winning business in North America for 13 years. And the work that I did in my own personal life, professional life, and personal life led me to become a coach and consultant for entrepreneurs, leaders, and people that are up to a big game. I've coached hundreds of people to have 30 to 50% growth in revenue, even in the middle of a pandemic, so that could lead to more profits and living a life they love and a life by design. My journey has been one of a roller coaster. In the midst of owning a very successful business, I found myself going through a devastating divorce, which led to me being in $1 million of debt. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. I actually had to send my accountant some information from some documents a couple weeks ago. And I looked at the number again and it was $1.3 million. So that's not even exaggeration. I wish it was. But, finding that out that I was in that much personal debt, and then I got breast cancer. And then because I was in so much debt, that led me to file personal bankruptcy. And even though personal bankruptcy was the right thing to do, and it was completely, advised by attorneys, friends and family, mentors of mine, it completely derailed my confidence. I felt like such a hot mess. I started saying things to myself like, how did you not know that was going on behind your back? How did you allow yourself to marry somebody like that? So I started beating myself up and I really started going into depression. Some would call it the dark night of the soul. And I was completely living in survival mode and depression. And then one day I woke up and then I decided that this way of living was not living at all. I completely lost all my power and joy. And let me tell you, I would have this running joke that I would want to get a lobotomy because my negative emotions would just continue to take over me. And then again, one day I woke up and said, I need to reclaim my power and joy and tell this itty bitty shitty committee to take a back seat. I've been coaching since about 2012, doing transformational work. And in my continuous study of coaching, I started practicing NLP coaching, which is neuro linguistic programming, timeline therapy, and hypnosis. And it finally gave me the quote unquote healthy lobotomy. I was finally able to put my negative emotions aside, kick those limiting beliefs to the curb, empower my thoughts and actions, and start choosing to live my life as my highest and best self, in which, as some have called, their essence. I'm like so happy right now. Sometimes I want to pinch myself. And yes, I'm a dog mom too, to that cute dog in there named Rosie. So hashtag life of Rosie. So this is for you if you've been feeling stuck, burnt out, you're been miserable. Part of you could possibly feeling resentment towards the career or business that you started, and you're having that negative self-talk and that negative baggage running your show. This is also for you if you're ready to start living your life by design and finally taking control of it. I 150% believe we all have the power to shift our mindset, eliminate negative beliefs and behaviors and emotions so that we can live our lives and love our lives 90% or more of the time without sacrificing our paychecks or our sanity. And this is exactly why I'm excited to share this information with you. So today I'm going to go over like what that itty bitty shitty committee is and how its job needs to be done here. Why people pleasing, and I was the queen of people pleasing in the past. I always put myself last. And why pleasing people pleases no one, especially not yourself. To recognize what your true essence is to live your highest and best life. When it's okay to fill your cup up, and I'm going to tell you it's okay to fill it up every single day. And specifically what I'm going to share is some of the biggest reasons why we get in our own way and allow that itty bitty shitty committee to take over and run our show, why it stifles our growth and our ability to get what we really want in life. And I'm going to share with you later on some tips on how you can start shifting your mindset so you can start living closer to your essence. So today I'm going to teach you as much as possible with the limited amount of time that we have. And I promise I'm going to tell you ways that you can take it even further. So please hold your questions to the end. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. So you've heard me talk about this itty bitty shitty committee a few times. So first, I'm going to actually talk about what it is and why it exists. The truth is that itty bitty shitty committee has been with us since we were children. However, it wasn't always there. It's developed over time. All right. So I want you guys to take a look at these cute little babies, right? So most of us know babies in our lives, either have a baby or we know someone that had one. And I want you to think about that baby, especially that happy smiling baby, or just look at these two cute little babies. And I want you to think about, what do you see when you look at these babies? I've asked hundreds of people this question. What do you see when you look at these babies? And the words that I've heard over time are joy, trust, curiosity, love, possibility, happiness, confidence. Babies are typically pure bliss. Babies live in their essence, which also is their highest and best self. All right, then we're this little cute little baby, right? When we're born, and then babies start to grow up. And then what do babies and what do toddlers normally start to hear when they start growing up? They start hearing things like, no, don't do that. Get out of there. Go to your room, right? Like little toddlers start getting into mischief, and they're just being curious in the world, and parents are just doing their best to try to protect them, right? And then that toddler grows up, and now that toddler is probably 6 or 7 years old. And what do 6 and 7-year-olds usually start to hear? They start to hear no, more of the same. Go to your room, right? And they're getting, I've heard, I want you guys to think about things that possibly could have happened in your past that could have been like possibly like a negative experience. We're just living life, right? Like sometimes people don't realize what they're saying to somebody else that could make the biggest impact. I know for me, when I think back at something that happened in my childhood when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, was when I first was, when I was in this town I grew up in, one of my first friends, her mother was not very nice to me. So she would actually like shun me or restrict me from coming over and playing with her daughter for whatever reasons they were. And then my sister was always allowed to go there. And then when she let me come over to play with her kids, I was banned to only play on they called it the blacktop, which was their driveway. So when I sometimes think about things that happened in my past, I'm like, oh, that could possibly be a reason why I decided to become a people pleaser, because I didn't want people to be mad at me or like shun me out of their house. Okay. So again, I want you guys to just kind of think about stories and things that happened in your past that could have impacted you as you're growing up. So again, as we keep growing up, now we become teenagers or preteens. And like, if you could see this picture here, like, could this be the most judgmental group of people you've ever seen? Look at their face, right? Like, teenagers get judgmental. It's just the way it is. Like, cliques are formed. Are you in the cool crowd? Are you in the nerdy crowd? Are you in the, whatever crowd? I mean, our crowds were called like the flannels or the, I don't know what, but I remember too, like being a freshman in high school, there was a girl that would walk behind me and I have no idea why, but she would throw pennies at me while I was walking in front of her and her friends. Like, kids can be mean and be bullying, and that has an impact on that itty bitty shitty committee. Can you guys relate to that? Like having stories in your past like that? So then, we keep growing up and now, we start dating and then we get our heart broken. And then before you know it, we're like, am I lovable? What's wrong with me? Why don't they like me? Like, so that itty bitty shitty committee voice comes up. And now we're hit with media all over the place. We have magazines. Are we thin enough? Is our hair blonde enough or whatever? Are we tall enough? And, we have movies that we're watching. And then now there's social media. And it's like, oh, do people like my things? I feel like there's some people on there that are like, they use social media as a complaining ground. And then there's the people too that like, they put like, stuff on there about all the great things that are happening in their life. And then other people are starting to judge and assess their own lives because they think people live this awesome, fabulous life, but they're not even seeing what's happening in the background. Like, I know for me, a few years ago when I was traveling a lot for work, I worked like a 10 and 12-hour day, and I'd post this like awesome dinner and drinks I was having at the end of the night. And some people would ask people that were close to me, how does Bridget always get to go on vacation? Why is she always on vacation? And I would laugh and be like, I'm not on vacation. I'm actually working. So there's just all these misconceptions and people judging and assessing each other. So again, even people with the most awesome upbringing, and I had a pretty awesome upbringing, like, we just have crap that happens to us. Bad things happen to everybody. And those are the things that have us create the itty bitty shitty committee, which I also call our defense mechanisms. So I'm going to talk a little bit about defense mechanisms. It's like an automatic way of being to protect ourselves. So if you knew me 15 years ago and you had a confrontational conversation with me, I would either cry because I wanted you to feel sorry for me, I would rip your head off, or I would go radio silent. Can anybody relate to those behaviors, right? All right, so the real thing here is that I want to share is that all learning behaviors and change is really on an unconscious level. Truthfully, they're mainly so embedded in our unconscious mind, we are not even aware of it. Have you ever found yourself going from one relationship to another, one job to another, company to another, maybe you even go to a different city? You've changed the scenery, you've changed the people. However, you're still experiencing the same types of patterns and behaviors. The results and the experience are the same. The problem is that our negative behaviors are so embedded in our unconscious mind that we're not even aware of it. Like, seriously, guys, It's so ingrained in our unconscious mind, we are not even aware of it. I've been practicing transformational work for over 14 years. And when I tell you, my running joke used to be, I wish I could get a lobotomy because my negative emotions and people pleasing kept running my show. I am not kidding. And believe me, I'm a watch what you wish for person. So I never really wished I would get a lobotomy, but I actually could not quiet my mind down. My mind would be running and racing like a hamster wheel. And until I started practicing NLP work and timeline therapy and hypnosis, my mind finally was able to let all that crap go and be free. And when you work with me more closely, you'll experience the same thing. So one thing I want to also share is like with one of my clients, Annie. So Annie, have been working with her, and she shared with me that on Mother's Day, she had the best Mother's Day ever. And in the past, it would actually be her least favorite holiday because she would get so triggered by her own family and her own mom because of past traumas and events. And now she's been able to let all that crap go, forgiven everything. And she said she had the best Mother's Day she's ever had with her mom. And I do have permission to share this story because I take confidentiality very sacred. So when I work with you more closely, we start to clear out those negative emotions, especially starting with anger. And then once we clear anger out, we work on clearing out the stepsisters of sadness, fear, hurt, then guilt. Fear and guilt are probably the most useless emotions that we can carry around with us because they impact our health in such a negative way. It causes unnecessary stress, which could lead to impact your heart, weaken your immune system, cause disease. But one thing I do want to share with you though, when I work with people and clearing out their emotions, nobody turns into a zombie. Like you don't become emotionless. Right? So I guess the best way I can describe it is, so like in the past, if I were to share a story with you about something I was either angry or upset about, I would actually be reliving that emotion all over again, if not 10 times worse. But now today, because I've cleared out all that emotion, I can now tell you a story and it was just a story. And I still can get angry or upset at times. However, it probably lasts for 5 or 10 minutes. But before it would either last for like 5, 10 days. Sometimes it felt like an eternity. So now it's all gone. My anxiety level used to be probably, if I rated it from a 1 to 100, it was probably 150. And now my anxiety is probably like at a 5. And now I can share a story, and a story is just a story. And that's pretty cool for me. I'm letting some people in. Okay. All right. All right. So now let me talk to you about essence and what essence is. Essence is living at our highest and best self. Another place we can look at this, another way we can look at this is like, we can come from 2 places. We can either come from love or we can come from fear. And fear is that survival mechanism, that itty bitty shitty committee that triggers us. So again, like my survival mechanism used to be like, I'd cut your head off, start crying, or I would run from you like the plague, right? And then when I'm coming from my highest and best self, I'm coming from love, I'm coming from being curious, I'm coming from being calm, right? And the one thing I want to share with you is that like survival mechanism, eggs on survival mechanism from somebody else. And then essence brings out more essence in people. Okay, so we all have the capability to get connected back to our essence. Who we were as a baby is all inside of us. I know because I had to choose that over and over again. All right, so outside of choosing my essence, another thing that I do is getting outside of my comfort zone. So I want to ask you, what is the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It is said that 90% of the population is choosing to live inside of their comfort zone. 90% of the world. The World Happiness Report stated that in 2019, unhappiness in the world was on the rise. And then we entered 2020 and were struck with a pandemic and shooting unhappiness up even higher. So what this is telling me is that there is a ton of room for growth in the happiness department all around the world. So the more you get to know me, you will see that I push myself and my clients to seek out opportunities to get outside of their comfort zone because there's opportunities for growth and abundance everywhere. I believe the biggest thing is that every person that we touch is a ripple effect onto somebody else. The happier we are, the more we spread happiness, and the world becomes a better place. Kind of like that song. I don't know. And the world can be a better place. I've been practicing singing that, so that's totally outside of my comfort zone. Just saying. Put a little love in your heart. All right, so let's all stop being insane. All right, so for me, choosing my essence over and over again, even in the face of a breakdown, I'm going to share my essence words with you. They are light, grace, strength, wisdom, and charisma. When I choose to come from these words, my being shifts, and I get to choose more power and joy for myself. And then when we get to choose that, we get to tell that itty bitty shitty committee to take a back seat and no longer take over our show. Through this practice of choosing my essence, getting outside of my comfort zone, filling up my cup, I have forgiven my divorce. I became a cancer warrior, and I got complete with my bankruptcy. These are just breakdowns that happen in my life. They're not a death sentence. They're not the things that define me. So life is a roller coaster, and I say, let's enjoy the ride. So you get to choose. Do you want to be that guy that's terrified? Or do you want to be the blonde that's like having the time of her life? So I know one of the things what I used to love doing was going to Great America when I was a kid, and I loved getting on the roller coaster, and I loved to hear them say, enjoy the ride. I actually wanted that job when I was growing up. So if you want more peace, love your life through power and joy and being your highest and best self, I have some tips for you that I can explore you to get closer to what your essence is. Everyone has their own unique essence, and I love coaching my clients through my Unleash Your Power and Joy mentorship program. So timeline therapy is for when I work with you more closely, and I don't have time to get into that today. So I'm going to share with you a few steps that you can start taking to get you closer to living in your essence. So one of my tips is, first, you just start practicing noticing when you're getting triggered. Just have a higher awareness of what is starting to go through your mind. So like, I'll give you an example. So if somebody that used to work for me in the past, if they were to come with me for, with a confrontation, I really started practicing pausing, listening to what they had to say, and start noticing my thoughts and feelings and body sensations. Just start there and notice. And then I cannot tell you the power of just breathing in and out, like deep breaths in and deep breaths out to calm you down. And then my whole thing too is, like I shared with you earlier, like survival mechanism, eggs on survival mechanism. Essence, eggs on essence. So if you can just start practicing calming yourself down in your being, it's going to give you a lot more access to bring out somebody else's essence as well. All right. And another thing I like to share too is, like, I love teaching my clients on how to build rapport. So one thing I love is to ask for permission for somebody else. So when you're asking for permission, like I'm going to give you the example of permission. Have you ever found yourself sharing something, maybe a breakdown or a story with a friend of yours, and you just spilled your guts out. And then before you know it, your friend is giving you all the 2 cents in the world of what they thought you should have done. And then you start thinking, well, I actually just wanted you to listen. Well, what would it look like if your friend said to you, wow, that really sucks. Would you like to hear what I have to say? And then you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I would like that. So I'm telling you, asking for permission to share your thoughts, share your ideas, even ask a question. Hey, may I ask you a question? Hey, would you like to hear what I have to say? It is like this amazing way to actually put somebody else's guard down so that you guys can start reflecting your essence back to each other. So that's just one of my big tips. And then I am always saying, fill up your cup. Too many people put themselves last. You actually need to start putting yourself first. So I'm going to give you an example too of how I used to in the past put myself last. So I put myself, if you knew me like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe going on maybe 8, I loved what I did, but I was doing hair behind the chair. I was owning my salon. So I was running the business. I was a mentor coach in 2 coach training programs. One of them was in San Diego. So I was flying across state for that. I was a coaching consultant for a coaching company, probably flying around the country twice a month. I would find myself working sometimes 16 days in a row or more, 10, 12-hour days. And my anxiety level was starting to go through the roof. And then I started taking things off my plate. And then the universe came along and gave me a bigger slap on the wrist. And I was told I had breast cancer. I thought that was the universe's way of being like, you really need to slow the hell down. You are just doing way too much. So gratefully for me, I took the universe's advice, and because of I put systems and structures in my business, I was able to take a 7-month leave off of work and really just focus on healing and taking care of myself. So it is a huge practice for me to make sure that I literally schedule in my calendar time off and block time off. So please, if I can just share one thing with you is always be filling your cup up first. That's probably going to be one of my biggest tips. We only have one life to live, and we need to enjoy every moment of it. All right, so I want you to stay with me a little bit longer because I have a little bit more to share. So you can join me on Coach Bridget Sobis on Facebook and on Instagram. If you want to follow Rosie, just follow #LifeOfRosie. And there you're going to find more tips to support you on how to get connected to your essence and your highest and best self, and have that itty bitty shitty committee take a back seat once and for all. And I know we covered a lot today, and I know it's not easy to make change. So I decided to offer something pretty cool for this group. It's an opportunity to have a one-on-one power and joy discovery session with me at no cost. As you can imagine, offering one-on-one sessions takes a lot of time. And currently I have 5 openings for you that would like to book right away. So for the first 5 people that qualify, and I'm going to share with you how you qualify, you can schedule a session with me, and then we'll have a one-on-one free power and joy discovery session. The sessions are scheduled on a first come first served basis. So it's in your best interest to schedule with me right away. And there's no cost involved. It's a $497 value, but there's one catch and you need to qualify. So I'm going to talk to you about that. So what I'm going to do too is I'm going to put in the chat, after I share with you what you would need to do to qualify. You can either email me. You can email me, or you can go on my Calendly link. I'm going to put both of them in there for you. And it's okay to multitask right now. That's okay for me. And what I want to share with you is the outcome of our call will be that you're going to discover what negative beliefs and limiting beliefs and decisions that have been getting in your way and stopping you and preventing you what you want in life. And you're going to get connected to what you genuinely want in life and what you can do about it. All right, so I'm going to share with you, these are the ways that you can qualify. All right, you are ready to have a life by design versus default. You are ready to tell that itty bitty shitty committee to take a back seat once and for all. You're ready to let go of those ball and chains of negative emotions that have been running your show. And you are ready to have peace of mind and mental freedom. So if you can say yes to all of that, that is how you qualify. And I promise you this, even if we never talk again after this session, at least you will know what negative emotions and limiting beliefs have been stopping you and getting in your way, and what you can generally do about it, and what you get connected to what you generally want in life. All right. So I recommend you take action now. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I know I get a little irritated by this because I know a lot of people say they want change, but they're not willing to do anything about it. So remember that definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I'm going to invite you guys to get sane and sign up for one of these free strategy sessions. And I have openings for 5 people that qualify. All right. And if you're listening to this recording, because I've had a lot of people ask me if I'm going to record this, don't worry about if a session's taken, apply anyway. Unfortunately, there's sometimes people that don't follow through, and that does break my heart. And if that happens, I'm going to reach out to you next. And I know this might not be a concern for you, but sometimes people worry that I'm going to try to sell them something. Well, I just want you to know that's not my style. Of course, if you want to know what it would look like to work with me, we can talk about that. However, my main objective is that you walk away getting clear on what negative emotions and limiting beliefs have been running your show, and what you really want out of life and what you can do about it. Okay. All right. So now that you know how to reach out and get that help for me, like I said, I put that in the chat. So if you're going to email me, just put in the subject line, Power and Joy Discovery Session, I'm in. Okay. And then I will email you right back. And then I'm going to share with you some of what my branded system, Unleash Your Power and Joy, looks like. So my branded system it's just one-on-one personalized inner game coaching and mentoring that infuses coaching, hypnotherapy, hypnosis, and timeline therapy that produce long-lasting, profound results with every single person I've worked with. I've helped people increase their revenue 50%, even in the middle of a pandemic, getting connected to their higher purpose, their life purpose, and really creating a life by design versus default. If you have any questions or concerns about that and want to know how it specifically looks, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. So go be one of the 5 people that qualify for my complimentary free strategy session. All right. So with that being said, go secure your spot. Again, it's a $497 value, and it's my free gift to you for being on this training. And it's one thing to think about change. It's another to take actionable steps forward towards it. I believe it is no accident that we are here together today. And if you believe that too, I look forward to our next steps together. I'm going to unmute everyone to see if anyone has anything to share. I wasn't really able to read the chat, but I will unmute everybody once I can get to that. All right, I think I unmuted everyone. Does anyone have anything that I want to share? Any questions that you have? You can raise your hand in the chat box.
I can't figure out how to raise my hand. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
Okay, that's okay. Who is speaking? Here, I'm going to
figured it out. I just figured it out.
Here, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Does anybody have any questions, comments? I have a few more minutes before afterwards. Thank you for staying to the end. I appreciate that.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, hi, Sarah. That's
Hi.
hi.
Yes. I figured out how to raise my hand.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, I came in a little late and I missed part of this. Is there going to be a replay?
There is, yes.
Oh, good.
I'll probably send it out within the next couple days.
That's awesome. Thanks. Because it was so good. I wanted to get the whole thing.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yes, there will be a replay. And then if there's anybody that you know that would benefit, please share it along as well. So anybody else? Hi, Rose.
Okay. I have a question. I'm actually in a program, kind of a self-help program, but one thing that I find, I'm just wondering if you deal with this at all, is having patterns. This is particularly, I'm just going to say it, I don't really care who knows, but having a pattern like not working out, knowing I should do it 100%, but getting off, knowing 100%, you got to eat better, you got to work, and just not doing it. And I know it's just inertia, and but I cannot get off the mark, and it's been years.
Yeah. What style of program are you in? I've done a lot of different transformational works, and there's so many wonderful.
I'm in a 12-step program, a
Okay.
recovery.
Okay, I got you. Awesome.
I don't mind saying it, by the way.
No, I got you. I appreciate you. Well, so the work that I do it'll start unblocking you from reasons that are getting in your way from shifting your habits too. And then when I work with people one-on-one, we partner together. So it's like a do with process. And then just really clearing out, I've done techniques where I can reframe and help somebody really change their behaviors and the way they react or the way that they do things. I know that there's even techniques I've done, I do where I can support someone on never eating something again. Or I'm going to give you an example. So when I went through when I did this had this done on myself, I was like, well, there's nothing I would really never want to eat again. And then I was like, all right, I don't really drink. I can't even say it anymore. It's Diet Coke. I want to throw up every time I even say the word. So I had this technique performed on myself, and I never want to drink it or even say the word ever again.
Oh.
There's crazy stuff like that. So there is just a whole bunch of different techniques and trance work and hypnosis work and pattern changing.
Yeah, because I work at least 10 hours a day, usually 6 hours a week. It's not that I'm lazy, but I won't do it. And so anyhow, I'll reach out to you about it.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, please do. There's some patterns and behaviors that I was able to change for myself too. I could speak a lot for myself, but I used to get so triggered when someone would cut me off. So if I'm having a conversation with someone, especially someone I'm dating, cut me off in mid-sentence, I'd get so mad. And my committee would be like, he doesn't care about you, he doesn't like you, he doesn't blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to change the way I reacted. So I wanted to react to I want to have fun with it. I want to have play with it. I want to just not that voice doesn't exist. Now today, anytime I'm don't get me wrong. If it's very appropriate and it's very it's necessary for me to be hey, come on, I need to finish my sentence, I will step in and say that. But now the conversations have been more fun. They've been more playful. I don't get triggered anymore. And then they usually just go back to what I was really talking about. So there is a lot of work that can support that for sure. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm so happy to see you guys are all staying on. No? Going once, going twice? All right. Well, I just want to make sure I'm checking. I saw some chats in there. So before I close out, again, my Calendly link's in there. And also my email is in there. So anyone email me, put in I'm in, or I want to talk to you, just go for it. I love connecting, and I'm excited to meet whoever takes up on it and qualifies. So just remember, you got to qualify. All right. Much gratitude to this group. Sending you guys love. Live your highest and best ever and unleash your power and joy.
Thanks
right,
so
take care.
much.
Thank you.